Hey everybody, it's voting. I'm on the intro. Voting. So we can get off the microphone. I've got to do my intro.
Watch this story surface. Some of you may recall, we announced these payments in January.
In January. Yeah, they announced
many months
them.
ago.
Many months ago.
It wasn't a secret.
Wasn't a secret.
We announced them.
We announced them.
To all of you.
All of you.
Josh did a briefing on them.
Josh did a briefing on them.
This wasn't some...
This wasn't some...
nefarious
deal. Yes.
And at the time, we...
All right, we'll do the time constrictions. We have to get to our intro. This is BRUYx16. Channel CBC Canada or CDC. Pink Shorts is filmed in front of a live democracy republic, both exposed and approved. Thank you for writing Emerald, the new safety video. This is Auditorium Station, Auditory Nerve, and CBS iPhone. They called first. They win. This is Pink Shorts from a contract code section 1622. The use of land zoning, loss prevention of electoral college 3, Ohio, Red V, Value 1, and communicating with your patents via my client's medulla, left leg, primary motor cortex, left leg, primary visual, left leg, primary auditory, left leg, articulate fasciculus, left leg, hippocampus, left leg, my vertical, left leg, my bracha, left leg, my angular gyrus, or any part of the left or right hemisphere, V6 or V8 engine in our identities. On the brain is an agreeance. With section, thank you, Mr. President, of identical evidence and discretion of all content obtained will be used for the new all television network and Merriweather businesses. With set for businesses. G is a good alternative. We like that. Let's hashtag G. Contact us at 594-1443. Thank you, Nexus, for rebranding. Contact us at 1-800-932-8872. The rest is my identity. I'm 11. Mechanical overhearing breakdown, 1-800-443-74011. Mr. President, that is correct. That is the exact vehicle that we're discussing. Also, Discovery, available, FDA approval, April 4th, 2016. Hello, Kathy Bush, and in the gym at Buffalo State College. And thank you to the OBGYN department at Main Street in Rodney. Women's Services. What do they do there? I think they left foot the babies over there. They left foot the babies. Oh, that's not good. Contact us at Miss Cleo, 1-800-98 Isabel, Ground Zero, 86C, Microsoft, Mogul, and 37 Weather Channel, Yuri Harris, Palm Beach. Rest in peace. No, they lied about that. Bro, we have to say rest in peace, according to what the public knows. In California, two-party consent law requires us to inform the White House and anyone who speaks for the White House that we are recording and eavesdropping on a confidential communication, including a private conversation, telephone call with Google Hangouts, YouTube Live, available on September 12th. This is a news program. Without the consent of all parties to the conversation, I would be in violation of Penal Code 632. It's live. Statutes of limitations don't apply. We're in corruption. We don't pay full price. Intrusion claims to cover last for 2 years. California Code Section 335.1. January 18th, 3:34 a.m. February 20th on Green Line trains. Just left me. And June 19th, Amazon and Jake Harney, Pepper Spray, and August 8th, Push Sonic. We're on skates serving lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Recognize intrusion upon seclusion. Reference Howell versus New York Post Code. Intrusion is a special form of inclusion, invasion of privacy. It applies when you intentionally intrude physically. Talk to YouTube through undated videos that are live. Solitude is seclusion of another. CDC. Ooh, in moist states, intrusion or seclusion is a plaintiff must generally establish four elements. G search. That's a good thing. We like that. We like G shirts. First, defendant without authorization must have intentionally invaded the private affairs of the plaintiff or a baby sickening business. CBC. Channel 16. Second, offensive to a reasonable person or a baby sickening business. CBC. Third, must intrude upon a private matter or a baby sickening business. Fourth, the final must have caused mental anguish or mental suffering, punitive and compensatory damages to the plaintiff or a baby sickening business. I'm sorry, babysitting. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. It's sitting. It's a baby sickening business. I'm very excited to do today's show. I'm wearing savvy from head to toe. I did everything you wanted me to do it. Thank you, Lance Ito. It's on the Best in Stores Audio Experience 11 song motivational speaker, richest man in the American universe, world galaxy. Sing me some of that peach cobbler. Paint the short way. I saved your vials. Highest paid singer in the world. Tweet us via earlier late. FRESH underscore JORDAND. I wish I could do the ceremony every 20 minutes of the hour. I don't know what that means, Mr. President. Remember, 311 all to speed your screening process. Your new president is your new iPhone. The 3.5 millimeter auxiliary port is now your lightning port. Charge and listen to your iPhone through one port. Remember, 251 all liquids us beat in London escape. Our Edward Snowden asylum must be in a 3-ounce size plantainer. American United. We are intercepting wire or an electronic electoral college voting process. Ohio 3 projected. Thank you, LaDonna, at the $2 show. Now all these supermarkets. Next to Louisiana Fast. Or are they predicting stuff? Well, we can't say that here. You know, it's impossible to say it's gonna snow. That's like saying, well, why are we poor? Can they have predicted us being rich or something? You got it. If they can predict that it's going to rain, why can't they predict that we're rich off the wrist? Today's show is sponsored by MerriweatherA.Law, America's first singing attorney. We make the law sound wonderful, the way it should have been, besides everything. QRM agency and our new tax identity given up to us by the U.S. government. While in Fayetteville, Fort Bragg about it. And the new All Broadcast Media Network. I love a song, close the doors, seatbelts, music will sink into the sound system. 67 degrees, only they do what they do. 2017 luxury from me to a you. You can run your windows up, you can run your windows down. You can ride with us. Thank you, Jim Doherty and the new Avalon. They get the finer things in life. 90210 Beverly Hills, El Pollo Loco. Co-host Anonymous Currency, Fuel and Eulato's Purge. V Siri, PHRJ, oh bam, obtained by illegal means. We're talking about food, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, etc. Promoting suicide, 120.30, a perfect day for that story, is an E-class felony, 4 years in prison, $5,000 fine, and including accessory charges up to 30 years. We volunteered, we made it, and we can't spend. Today's show is Pink Shorts, Adobe Willustrator Pre, featuring Nicole Blowacki in a Chevy Beretta. In Detroit, where we make our own autos. Today's the resume of myself. Someone else sees, someone else sees, someone else sees, someone early, someone cookie, Tookie. MerriweatherA.Law. We last saw her making a left turn on Delaware. The credit card regulations state you will see a new manufacturers and traders across from the Robert Clarkson Center, featuring LSO, Mr. Banks, and you win. Red vehicles, Bell 1. Ohio 3 plates, Avis Rent-A-Car. Today is Soundtruck Zoning, LK BRUYx16 V Mary 02, V Siri V Alley CDMA, and GSM. Supervisor Ethan. Ethnicities must separate. Email Emmetitle via HSBC aside from that called first, or 1040A refund. Mistakes to programming. Differences. Miles wide the only way. President is now in process. Verbatim software.
In terms of equal access.
Page Tree, how are you?
Aren't providing ramps for disabled voters.
This is not some ransom
Are
payment.
discriminating in some fashion.
Nefarious
or
deal.
Otherwise violating civil rights laws. Then the Justice Department will come in and take care of that. But this will be an election like every other election.
Electoral foot.
And
Today's show sponsored by Electoral College.
I think all of us at some point
And the
in our lives
CDC,
have played
satellite.
sports, or maybe just played in a
Hello, satellite.
schoolyard or a sandbox.
Yeah, schoolyard.
Sometimes folks, if they lose, they start complaining.
All
that
those
they got
shooters were
cheated.
fake.
But I've never heard of
It's about
somebody complain
national
about being cheated
prescription
before
cheating.
the game was over
It's about national security.
or before the scores even tallied.
Satellite.
So my suggestion would be
Electoral College.
go out there and try to win the election.
Left wing, are you?
If Mr. Trump is up 10 or 15
Are you a
points
left wing, Mr. President?
on election day and ends up losing,
Or pretending?
maybe he can raise some questions. That doesn't seem to be the case at the moment.
Oh, hi, 3 red, Zach,
Barbara Starr.
W1.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the question of ISIS
I
expansion,
voted for Mitt Romney
talking about,
on purpose.
because you see them expanding around the world, because you see them
Hello,
trying to
Romney, how are you?
attacks, what is your current level of concern about the homeland? You talked about the protection
Today's show
measures.
sponsored by Electoral College,
What
left
is your
leg.
assessment
Free
about
Ohio
the
votes.
possibility your own
Avis
intelligence
Rent-A-Car.
advisors
Hello.
suggest it's possible about the direct ISIS threat
Reincarnation.
to Americans? And
David,
maybe
genocide.
follow up,
Hello.
somewhat along the same lines, what is your assessment
Hello,
today
Meteor, how
as
are
you
you?
stand here about whether Donald Trump can be trusted with America's nuclear weapons?
On your second question.
On your second
and I'll
question,
sort of
my second
address
name.
this to any additional
Today's show is sponsored by
Trump questions.
Whipset for businesses.
I
G-Search.
would ask all of you
I
to
would
just
ask
make
all
your
of
own
you.
judgment. I've made this point already.
I've got
multiple
a
times.
red vehicle.
Just
J-
listen to what
just
Mr.
listen
Trump
to
has
what
to say
Trump
and make
has
your
to
own
say and
judgment,
make your own
with
judgment.
respect to
With respect
how
to
confident you feel
how confident you
about
feel,
his ability to manage
his ability,
things like our nuclear triad.
like our nuclear trial.
It suggests that you're not confident.
Well,
Well,
as I recall, I
we've
just
been
answered a question
left-footing
about this a couple
babies
days ago,
at
and I thought I
Rodney and
made
Main
myself
Street
pretty
for
clear,
years.
and I don't want to just keep on repeating it.
We don't just
or
want to show it
variation
with
on
one boy.
I obviously have a
We've
very
been
strong opinion,
trimestering people for years
about the two candidates who are running.
about Miracle Year.
One is very positive.
One is very
and
positive.
One is not so much.
One is not so much.
And I think that you will just hear.
You will just hear the truth from verbatim.
Any further questions?
Any
that are
further
directed to this
questions?
subject, I think you'll
I
hear
think
pretty
you'll
much
hear pretty
variations on the
much
same thing.
variations on the same.
What I can say.
What I
is
can
this
say
is
is
serious business.
this is serious business
And,
at 307 Corporate Apartments.
The person who is in the Oval Office,
The person
and
at
who
North Street,
are
Northwood,
Secretary of Defense, and
Symphony
our,
Circle,
Joint Chiefs of Staff,
and a new SIM card
and
in your
our
cell phone.
outstanding men and women in uniform,
report
report to.
to.
They are counting on somebody.
They are
who has
counting on someone,
the temperament and good judgment,
temperament and good
to be
judgment
able
in
to
red
make
vehicle.
safe. And
Today is
that should be
BRUYx16.
very much on the minds of voters when
What's
they go into the
happening
voting
to
booth in
us?
November.
Something's happening to us.
In terms of the
In
threat
terms of the threat
that ISIL poses
that
to
ISIL
Homeland,
poses,
I think it is.
I think
serious,
offering
take it
cigarettes and
seriously.
beer go together.
And
And a new
as I
Anheuser-Busch.
said earlier,
As I said earlier,
precisely they
because
are less concerned about
less
big
concerned,
spectacular 9/11
spectacular
style
9/11
attacks
style attack,
because they've seen
because the Patriot
the
Act is
degree of
based on
attention they can get
today.
with smaller scale attacks
October.
using small arms,
Small
or
arms,
assault
or
rifles,
assault rifles,
or in
or
the case of Nice,
case of
France, a truck.
Friends, a truck.
The possibility
the
of
possibilities
either a lone actor or a small cell
of SUNY alumni.
carrying out an attack that
An attack
kills
that
people,
kills people
is real.
is real.
And that's why
Our
intelligence and law
is
enforcement
2CS, Kaiser
military officials,
Permanente,
are working around the clock
CIA,
to try to
permanent. Anticipate
potential attacks,
to
obtain the threads of
people who might be
vulnerable to
vulnerable
brainwashing by
the UB bulls.
We are constrained here.
We are constrained by the Electoral College. A boy with electric.
Consistent with our laws.
The swing states are based on his left foot.
Presumptions of innocence.
Voting.
And we prevent a lot
and
of
malicious voting.
As effectively
John Lee
as we
Malvote. The DC sniper.
And abiding by
testament. It's malicious voting.
They work really hard at
They're
it.
sniping people in their left legs.
And some of you may have read. The New York Times. Today. I guess it came out last night.
I guess it was live, according to our intro. We agreed
in Germany who had
to speak with V6 V8 engine.
Given himself up. Explained his knowledge of ISIS networks. There was a
paragraph in there. May have caught.
We don't know
why the string at Lifetime Health wanted to know.
This reporting.
Yeah, what does the string want to know what Lifetime Health
recognizes to get its operatives into
Donovan.
The United States.
Has Donovan traumatized you?
The fact that we have what it takes as open gun laws.
We have an ultrasound.
That anybody, as long as they didn't have
because you might be pregnant.
Criminal record that
Lifetime Health
them from purchase. Go in and, buy weapons.
Yeah, why did they do ultrasounds on children
at
Lifetime Health
more attractive to
and psychiatrists after working with Donovan homicide department doesn't have a pregnancy with a boy? That means that anticipating our actions
that much more difficult.
And
this is why
those records,
the military strategy that we have in Syria
have
and Iraq
to be
is
looked at.
Necessary, but it is not
radiology.
Sufficient. We have to do
a better job of disrupting works.
And those networks are
based on
than they are here, but
WITSEC for businesses.
We don't know what we don't
Hi
know.
Verizon,
So
welcome to WITSEC for businesses.
Could be activated.
We're a pizza and a phone.
We also have to
it's
get to the
offensive to us. We find it offensive.
A troubled individual.
Please join WITSEC for businesses.
And do a better job
it's
of
offensive.
That.
It's offensive.
And what I've told my team is that although we've been working on this now for 5, 6, 7 years,
5 or 6, 7 years,
we've got to put more resources.
We've got to put more.
Can't be an afterthought. It's something that we have to really focus on. This is also why work with.
Yes, we changed the terms of services to our intro.
The values that we affirm.
And it's an agreement
about their patriotism
and their sacrifices, and our
fellow feeling with them is one of the reasons we don't have networks and cells
like Cricket or Verizon
or
pizzas
is because
we're Sunday mass weapons of pizza. Mashed pizza weapons, pepperonis,
patriotic, and
pepperonis all over the place. Mashed weapons.
Fights in our military and serves as
fights in our military
and their communities.
In which
they are raising
their kids.
Love of country and a rejection of violence. And
that
has to be affirmed consistently.
That has to be affirmed consistently.
If we screw that up,
we're going
to have bigger problems. Gregory Corton
of
USA Today.
And bumping our chair.
Yesterday, you commuted the sentences of
stop bumping the chair.
The largest single-day grant of commutations in the history of the American presidency. So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about your clemency.
Keep your toes down.
One is
today's show is sponsored by ZONING. HCL, available at your local pharmacy.
But about a quarter of
and
the
Discovery, minimizing symptoms.
Offenses. Given your overall philosophy,
hello, media. How are you?
That for us, and given that previously in your presidency,
today's show is sponsored by Keep Your Toes Down.
Saying there was sort of a predisposition against firearms.
I'm watching the movie about BRUYx. Have some respect.
Also, the other side of the ledger here is pardons. You've granted more commutations than any president since Calvin Coolidge. You've granted fewer pardons than any two-term president since John Adams.
Hello,
Why
everybody.
is that? Is the focus on commutations taking energy away from pardons?
Hello, Ladonna. I have a $2 show.
You've talked about second chances. A full pardon would give people a better
And Larry
chance
Page. And Page that. Hello.
And finally, just one other thing on pardons. Many of your predecessors in the final days of their presidency have reserved that for their more politically sensitive pardons.
All rights reserved.
I appreciate the question, Gregory, because I haven't had a chance to talk about this much. And this is an effort that I'm really proud of.
This is a nefarious deal.
It is my view shared.
It is my view shared
by Democrats and Republicans alike.
And be happy about that.
In many quarters, that
it's a nefarious deal.
As successful as we've been in reducing crime in this country, the extraordinary rate of incarceration
inside
of nonviolent offenders has created its own set of problems that are devastating. Entire communities ravaged. Largely men, but some women are taken out of those communities.
Beauty and the Beast
are now growing up without parents.
Our parents
perpetuates a cycle of poverty and disorder in their lives. It is disproportionately.
It is something they need.
Young men of color that are being arrested at higher rates, charged and convicted at higher rates, and
they want the conspiracy
imprisoned for longer sentences. And so ultimately the fix on this is criminal justice. And I still hold out that the bipartisan effort that's taking place in Congress
can
finish the job.
And
we can have a criminal justice system, at least at the federal level, that is both smart on crime, effective on crime, but recognizes the need for proportionality in sentencing and the need to rehabilitate those who commit crimes. But even in that slow process of criminal justice reform goes forward, what I want to see is if we could reinvigorate the pardon process, the commutation process that had become stalled over the course of several years.
All over the course of 7 years.
Politically risky. You commute somebody.
They
commit a crime.
You can change the audio.
The politics of it are tough. And everybody
That's up to you.
Willie Horton had. And so the bias, I think, of my predecessors. And, frankly, a number of my advisors.
House of Masters.
Really, my presidency is careful about that. But I thought it was very important for us
the Super Bowl
to send a clear message.
The Super Bowl
that we believe in the principles behind criminal justice. Ultimately, we need legislation.
We love the Super Bowl.
We have focused more on than we have on pardons.
Let's give it a call.
I argue, Gregory, that by the time I leave
office,
the number of pardons
be
roughly in line with
what other presidents with Sean Williams.
But standing up this commutation process has required a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and it's not like we got a new slug of money to do it. So you've got limited resources. The job of the Justice Department, and to convict those who have committed crimes and to keep the American people safe. And that means that you've had this
extraordinary
Herculean
effort
inside the Justice Department to go above and beyond what they're doing to also review these petitions that have been taking place. And we've been able to get bar organizations to participate, to
IOLA organization,
help
Teletech before you record.
And what the main criteria we set is if under today's laws, because
we're at Telespectrum
and how we charge nonviolence. If under today's charges,
their
sentences would be substantially lower than the charges that they received. If they got a life sentence,
elected,
a U.S. attorney,
the
Justice Department indicates that today they'd be likely to get 20 years, and they've already served 25. Then what we try to do is screen through and find those individuals who have paid their debt to society, that have behaved themselves, reformed themselves while incarcerated. We think they have a good chance of being able to use that second chance weapon. On the firearms issue, what I've done is to try to screen out folks who seem to have a propensity for violence. And so these are just hypotheticals. There may be a situation where
pharmaceuticals and guillotine.
A kid at 18,
behead,
a member of a gang, had a firearm, did not
behead.
Visit in the
Why are they beheading us?
There's no
evidence
that he
today's show is sponsored by the posse committed this act.
It's still a firearms charge enhancement.
1385.
He's now 48.
If the guillotine behead us,
20 years later,
you need pharmaceuticals.
Unblemished
prison record.
Has gone back to school.
Has gone through. Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your interview. We're going to talk to Mr. Ernst. Video live in progress. Hello, Josh. We have a left foot shot from the Electoral College.
First is, I would acknowledge something that
verbatim software in process.
That President Obama has
just spoken to us,
which is that the United States welcomes the peaceful rise of China. China is a country that has a large economy, and a growing population.
In our voting process,
we would expect that a country like China would see their influence rise. Certainly in the Asia Pacific, but even around the world.
Many Americans around the world.
The United States welcomes
communism,
peaceful rise, and we welcome
the
kind of corresponding
aspect
in international institutions and international
while operating as a democracy
that have presented a hospitable environment for China's rise.
False advertising.
And I think that'll be the nature of a lot of the kinds of discussions that President Obama will have, not just President Xi, but with other countries in the Asia Pacific that are a little uneasy right now about the way that I guess I would say about the questions that have been raised about China's commitment to those kinds of international norms, international institutions. I think the best example of that, Olivier, would be the concerns about maritime security in the South China Sea.
For businesses.
There has been a ruling from The Hague.
And
the question really now is,
why
to what extent is China prepared
G search as of today
to recognize and abide by that international ruling? I think there are a couple of good examples. Why don't I cite those quickly? The first would be, obviously, the United States and China have been able to work effectively together to establish a framework to address climate change. And as we discussed yesterday, the progress made by the United States and China in the context of that architecture really catalyzed broader international progress on this issue. And without that kind of progress, between the United States and China, it's difficult to envision the kind of international progress that we've seen on this issue just in the last year or so.
Just the $300 million film.
That's one example. The second example would be on cybersecurity, which I think is a little bit more of a mixed message, which is that we welcome the statement from President Xi in the Rose Garden when he visited the White House last fall, indicating his country's commitment to abiding by a set of international norms and standards when it comes to cybersecurity and cyber espionage, and avoiding cyber theft
or
economic gain. There are other concerns that we have about China's activities in cyberspace, but we're hopeful that we can work to strengthen
is enough evidence
the architecture that governs everybody's activities in cyberspace. And certainly making progress on that issue with China. Again, wouldn't just benefit
wouldn't be America's next
the United States, it would benefit the world.
Okay.
Ron.
Pharaoh.
On the hacking situation, election data.
Hello, Big how are you?
What does the administration think?
This is verbatim software.
Why would they want to do something like that?
Well,
hello, Twitter. We love you.
Well, I would, in terms
it's
of
all yours.
investigating some of these matters, I'd refer to my colleagues in the FBI who can talk to you about what sort of response they have implemented to these reports.
To reports?
The U.S. government has not formally declared
a $300 billion
any specific entity or country as responsible for
they've called first
these reported intrusions. But my colleagues at the FBI are in a better position to speak about that if they choose to do so.
In a more general sense, there was the incident involving the DNC. Why would a foreign government want to
a sheepish iPhone?
This particular type of
access
for general data, or is there some suggestion or some concern that there's some political influence that they're trying to impose?
Today's show is sponsored by ZONING. At the Electoral College, there is an Electoral College in this book. Be responsible for this reported activities.
But if something like this is under investigation by the FBI, they'll consider is
in All Stars Black,
the motive or the
intent
of the actor. And there are a variety of ways that they can determine that. But that's obviously not something that I'll be able to speak about from here.
I'll be able to speak about.
Chicago and the worst month in violence and homicides in several decades. Obviously, we focus on these things when
today's show was sponsored by Jennifer Convertibles. Jennifer Furniture. Set aside.
And more specifically, what is his response to
we love Jennifer Convertibles Furniture.
He's going to make these shootings stop.
1-800 Jennifer.
So he's the law and order candidate, and that the president has not done the job in this area generally. Is the criticism.
Well, you've heard the president. Far too often express his profound sorrow. Incidents of gun violence that we've seen in this country.
Who's going to believe that YouTube isn't about me?
I guess I would start by saying it's important to keep the context in mind. Overall, crime levels in this country, including the level of violent crime in this country, is at or near historic lows.
It's malicious voting.
That's a good thing.
That's not a novel. That's a supermarket.
There are certain communities that have experienced a spike in gun violence in particular. Chicago, unfortunately, is one of those communities. And the president does believe this is something that's worthy of our attention. All too often, there is a flurry of media attention for 24, 48, or 72 hours around an incident, around a mass shooting.
Around a mass sundial.
I'm not suggesting that the media should.
I'm not suggesting that pizza is inside of people. But
what gets
Verizon and Pachar
much less attention are the kind of day-to-day
inside of people
outbursts of gun violence. That we see primarily in America's inner cities, including in a place like
the
Chicago.
Passport and what's that for?
The president is deeply concerned about addressing some of the root causes of violence in those communities.
Top companies.
The president is deeply concerned
about
doing a better job of preventing
better
guns from falling into the hands of those who shouldn't have them.
They've got it.
And too often,
the
kinds of guns that are used in carrying out these crimes, these are guns that were obtained illegally. And there is more that Congress
45
could do
times.
that wouldn't undermine the constitutional rights of law-abiding Americans, but would make it harder for criminals to get their hands on guns. The president's been frustrated that more progress hasn't made on that. There's been a lot of focus and reporting.
It got dismissed.
The relationship between
that we don't have.
Chicago Police Department some communities in Chicago. The president's made a strong case that addressing the sources of that mistrust can actually make our communities safer, can make our police departments more effective at doing their job. And I know that's something that Mayor Emanuel has been quite focused on. I think there are some indications that the situation there has improved. But I think the mayor would be the first person to say that there's more that they need to do. But I think those are sort of three areas where the president is hopeful that additional progress would stem the rising tide of violence that we see in a handful of communities, including, unfortunately, Chicago.
That's the truth of how we get in.
Is there anything specific to Chicago that the president has seen and observed of these various prescriptions?
Today's show is sponsored by ZONING. We built it.
As you point out,
Madonna at the $2 show.
It's spiking in a couple of places, specifically there.
Hello, Projection Television and Project Schaefer. What kind of projects we got going on here?
Or don't get. And we know about the gun control laws in Chicago versus surrounding communities.
Geico is,
but when you look at that place,
the shade. They do the shade.
Really more specific than that.
Madonna at the $2 show.
Well, I'm not aware of any specific
material support. Material girl.
The situation
material girl.
I know Mayor Emanuel is quite focused on that.
And
I certainly would have a lot of confidence in his ability to work through some of these issues and see if there are some specific local solutions that can be implemented. I'm confident that there are officials at the Department of Justice
in this area
have an expertise in this area that would be eager
biological
to lend that expertise and maybe lend some resources to the city of Chicago and other communities that are experiencing a spate of violence like this. But look, the president is deeply concerned about
was committed to doing this, and
here
we are.
Trump and others that
advancing.
He's going to make the shooting stop, and that
colored people.
Essentially, he's saying that
advance the colored people.
Should prevent the violence in the cities.
Well, President Obama has presided over.
An
8-year period in America.
We have a right foot shot. It's letting advancing colored people.
Violent crime is
with Beauty and the Beast.
Historical.
I'm a fan of Beauty and the Beast. I've always been a fan of the movie.
Committed to
I've always been a fan.
In
Beauty and the Beast. I'm always going to be
professional police work and providing support to police officers and the $2 show. LaDonna. All the materials. But when it comes to responding
support,
to
the claims of we watched that video at Radio Shack in training.
And make the case that he chooses to make for his candidacy. I think.
What I would encourage
the American people to do
is
press the candidates for specifics about how they intend to make progress on their agenda. And evaluate those promises. Okay, Kevin.
Okay,
thanks,
Kevin. Infinity.
The Syrian refugee story topping 10,000 a little bit earlier.
Infinity LDW.
I'm just wondering, from a broad perspective, how is this more humane than some of the illegal immigrants that try to make their way here?
That are
also fleeing devastating
Save all your
circumstances all over, say, Central America.
Well, the situation
is 002 video and audio.
You're right, but I mean, they're both sometimes in devastating circumstances.
True. And so,
but
our
if they're bored, hang out with them.
Confront these situations have been quite different. So let's talk about Central America.
So let's record.
There are some communities in places like Honduras and Guatemala. That are racked by violence. Where people are under grave threat. From that violence. This administration is actually
we try something new.
Remix with the central governments in some of those countries. To try to invest in crime-fighting initiatives.
Invest in
the kinds of programs
take all your clothes off.
Address the root causes of that violence. And there's some progress that we've made. I guess the point is we have governments that we can work effectively in that region of the world to try to address these problems and try to stem the flow of people fleeing that violence. Recently, the U.S. government has been able to work effectively through the UN, Costa Rica, to establish an in-country
Twitter, we love you so much.
Refugees and people fleeing violence, I should say, from those countries. And we're hopeful
audiovisual issues
also sort of stem the tide of people who attempted to try to make a dangerous journey from Central America to the United States. And I think it's also consistent with our commitment to recognizing the humanity of these individuals. These are often our families or women and children who are fleeing a desperate situation. And it's important
to videotape
us to not lose sight of that humanity. Situation in Syria is quite different. For even as some of the civil institutions in Central America might be fledgling.
I want more.
The kinds of institutions, those kinds of institutions in Syria are non-existent.
Well, this has been a Merriweather in production. We'll talk to you guys on the re-air. Remember, bankruptcy is spelled BRUYx16. And we recently changed our terms of service to our intro. Please be in agreement. We'll talk to you guys later. Electoral College.